Now, I am very pleased to bring to you our president, Dr. Falecia D. Williams, for the State of the Institution address. Dr. Williams.
Oh, had I the ability, and could I reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. And its crimes against God and man must be denounced. That's an excerpt from Frederick Douglass's speech, What to the Slave is the 4th of July. The speech is one of Prince George's Community College's featured texts in our 30 Days for Change challenge. It comes as no surprise that Frederick Douglass's speech was considered scathing. He delivered it in 1852 as part of Rochester, New York's 4th of July celebrations. And ironically, 168 years later, his speech still has the ability to make people uncomfortable because of its blunt honesty. Hold that thought. We'll come back to it. The theme of this year's College Professional Development and Enrichment Day is celebrating diversity, striving for equity, embracing inclusion. It sets the tone for an important dialogue surrounding where Prince George's Community College seeks to position itself as an institution with a proud legacy of serving a wide range of underrepresented groups and all who seek to learn. Today, I'm going to set the stage for what will be a series of conversations we will have as a college community surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will have ample opportunity to look together at data carefully in the coming weeks. But today, we're going to focus on something a little different. Why have diversity and inclusion become empty buzzwords? At times, well-intentioned, but still devoid of real substance. And I'm not only speaking about here at the college, I'm referring to regionally and nationally. How can we restore meaning? What does it take? These are big questions with deep, complicated channels to navigate. And today, get ready, because we're going to answer these big questions. That's right. We're going to identify how we can restore meaning and work towards strengthening a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment here at the college. Believe it or not, the secret lies in living authentically. Here are 3 key points that illustrate how. Living authentically helps you become a better person, healthier, happier, focused. It strengthens relationships and enables you to bring your best self to work. We're going to refer to this point as you. Number 2, living authentically helps PGCC become a better institution. The collective of individuals who live authentically creates a strong community that reflects these values. We're going to refer to this point as us. And finally, number 3, living authentically helps the region, the country, and the world become a better place. We're going to refer to this point as all. It is important to note that the you focus area is a prerequisite for us and all. That brings us to key point number 1. Living authentically, which will help you become a better person, healthier, happier, focused. Strengthens relationships. It enables you to bring your best self to work. Authenticity is arguably the most important quality necessary for maintaining healthy relationships, regardless of your role: employee, leader, friend, significant other, you name it. And maybe some of you are wondering, why are we starting here with the individual? Why are we exploring this topic through such a personal lens? And you're right. These types of talks typically start at the college level, such as, how can you be more effective in your role? What can we do differently as an institution to better ourselves and to fulfill our mission? What can we change structurally and organizationally? These types of questions are where we tend to start the conversation regarding institutional growth. Today, however, I'm going to challenge us to reach back and begin in the conversation from an earlier stage, an important, very important reason. Change begins from the inside out. Authenticity is lived from the inside out. If we don't first address our individual selves, we will never be ready for a collective conversation as an institution about any of these topics. There's a certain level of surrender that I'm trying to get us to so that we can open ourselves up for this conversation. This surrender enables honest self-examination and reflection without external shaming or judgment. It allows us time and space to learn and grow from experience. It requires that we be given an environment that enables self-care and wellness. This mindset reminds us that no matter how important our careers are, our identity is made up of more than a career. First and foremost, we are human beings with desires, hopes, and dreams that hold meaning well beyond our professional identity. Not only are we employees, we are parents, children, friends, partners, and creatives of all kinds. This human element must be part of our conversation before we even begin to think about change at the organizational level. There are a lot of definitions and uses of authenticity out there. From the I'm going to do what I want, when I want, how I want mindset, to Aristotle's concept, knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom. For the purpose of this talk, we are defining authenticity as the ongoing journey to find yourself. The commitment to walk the talk, being consistent and realizing the importance of lifelong learning. This enables empathy and greater awareness of self and others. Authenticity enables us to understand that people pay attention to what you do before deciding whether to believe what you say. Essentially, authenticity is about taking responsibility for our individual actions and seeing how these actions play a part in creating the larger whole. After we acknowledge the role of you, we can move to us. Key point number 2, living authentically helps PGCC become a better institution. The collective of individuals who live authentically creates a strong community that reflects these values. Nationally, we find ourselves in a very divisive climate, seized by mindsets in a tangled and complicated history of inequity that ties back to slavery. The very essence of diversity-related training and professional development has even called into question, now more than ever, Prince George's Community College needs to take a stand for what we believe in. Our mission is grounded in community, ensuring that opportunities for growth, lifelong learning, and economic mobility are available to all students, faculty, and staff who partner with us. I'm going to challenge us to do even better than taking a stand. We need to live the stand. That is the core of authenticity. Many of you have already learned I'm a bit of a data geek. Studying data enables us to determine progress made and areas for growth. Now, I promised we wouldn't do a deep data dive during the session today, but let's take a brief look at where we are as an institution. As of the fall of 2019, PGCC serves the greatest percentage of non-credit students in Maryland, with the two largest groups being Black at 68% and Hispanic at 13%. In terms of our employees, 55% identify as Black, 19% identify as white, and 14% do not designate an ethnicity. In terms of gender, 61% of our overall employee population identifies as female, 39% identifies as male. In addition to quantitative data, qualitative data are also an important part of the conversation. Living authentically from an us standpoint calls us to deep examination. What are we doing that's working? What can be improved upon? What is clearly not working? This honest analysis is not always about who's right and who's wrong. It's about us being part of the same team, where we are committed to finding solutions together that make the college better, stronger, and true to who we say we are. This commitment must go beyond the words on our website and beyond the strategies listed in our strategic plan. It must go beyond headcount and raw numbers. Authenticity from an us standpoint requires that we ask a lot of questions, and not only ask the questions, but be willing to face the answers. Going back to the point I made earlier about Frederick Douglass's speech, authenticity also requires that we be willing to feel uncomfortable and have difficult conversations. How are we supporting students during these challenging times in our country and world? Who are the most vulnerable? How is the national climate that targets Black people specifically and other people of color affecting our college community? This commitment to acknowledging humanity that we explored when we talked about the role of you is applicable to us. It means we realize what's happening in the region and country impacts how well our students are able to learn. The level of access they have to the tools needed to be successful, their mental state as they go about their day, regardless of how they appear on the outside. When you have a country that questions whether or not racism or bias truly exists, it shows what we are up against. During times of uncertainty, education has the potential to play an even greater role in fostering change from the inside out. The potential is there each time a faculty member interacts with a student. It's there every time the administration makes a decision to create the strategic vision that guides our efforts. The potential is there every time we have an opportunity to inspire someone else to keep the faith and never give up. The college's 30 Days for Change Challenge, led by Anderstein Robinson, Director of Governance and Diversity, it's a prime example of a shared commitment to learning and growing together. Thank you to everyone who participated and shared their feedback. On day one of the challenge, Jonica Dreyer, Program Manager of Early College Access Program, said, "I can't wait to participate with my family." Tasha Green, Associate Professor of Health, Business, and Public Service, said, "Absolutely a great pick. I plan to use the day 5 content in my healthcare class." Dennis Huffman, Director of the University Town Center, said, "This initiative is stunning, and I want you to know how much I've appreciated so far. I was especially struck by Sunday's choral piece, the 7 last words of the unarmed. But each day has been so impactful. Susan Ball, manager of budget, operations for teaching and learning and student success, said, "These 5 days have been very interesting. I've enjoyed reading, listening, and learning." This willingness to listen and learn and engage is at the very heart of living authentically. It is also important to remember that our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts need to extend beyond race. Factors such as socioeconomic status, immigrant versus native status, in addition to diversity of age and thought, are also elements that drive our conversations about equity. We also need to remember that as a minority-serving institution, our internal designation of majority and minority are flipped. Know that we are committed to our campus serving as a welcoming environment for everyone, for all who seek to learn, including the individuals classified by the larger society as a majority. We shouldn't have to say it, but it's important that we do. In order to grow authentically as a college, we need to be in touch with what our community is saying and how they are feeling, even when the feedback presents a hard pill for us to swallow. For instance, if the conversation about the makeup of tenured versus non-tenured faculty keeps surfacing, we should feel compelled as a college community to explore, ask questions, identify areas for growth wherever needed. If our prospective students frequently report longer than desired wait times when applying, we should determine if there are resources we can redirect to this effort that is critical to the college's viability. If we continue to receive feedback from our staff about dated and ineffective practices that negatively impact their work, we should not turn a deaf ear. It is our responsibility to do our best to create an environment which we are all able to thrive. This is always a work in progress, and we would be naive to think that perfection is the aim. What matters is our earnest intent and the sincerity of our efforts. As we think through strategies for strengthening our community, I encourage us to dream big, not within the bubble, and then work back to the reality of where we are. Even in spite of the uncertain financial environment, we must still dream big. Because when we design based upon only what is reasonable, we will never reach what is optimal. Today, I want to empower us to question, why do we do the things we do the way that we do them? Why? Is it relevant? Does it make sense? Is it having a positive impact? Or is the reasoning simply, that's how it's always been? Now that I've covered our collective vision of us, we can transition to the third and final point. Living authentically helps the region, the country, and the world become a better place. We're referring to the point of all. Research shows time and time again that systematic racism and inequity is often rooted in fear. Deep down, there is a whole lot of insecurity there. Fear of change, fear of losing power, position, and privilege. Fear even of the unknown. A recent Fortune magazine article suggests that the two main drivers of police violence against people of color are the twin toxins of race and fear. I would venture to say these twin toxins are drivers of many forms of discrimination. This is why communication is essential. This is why moments of pause, breathing, and reflection, like today's College Professional Development and Enrichment Day, are absolutely crucial. What kind of world do we want? How do we want to show up in that world? What type of future do we want to leave for our students, our families, and our loved ones? There's continual work to do on all fronts to create the change we want to see. And it starts with us, right here, right now. Prince George's Community College has a part to play, and everyone's ideas, solutions, talents, and expertise are needed. And let me just say, this is not the time for apathy and indifference. Prince George's Community College hosted New York Times best-selling author Ibram X. Kendi in July, a few months before I came aboard. In a recent interview with CNN, Dr. Kendi discussed the danger of apathy and indifference. But what about the people who are literally doing nothing, he said. To do nothing in the face of the status quo of racial inequity is to essentially support the status quo. It's just like, for instance, what slaveholders wanted people in the North to do in the face of slavery, which was nothing. Change is hard. Let's be honest, the work is hard. The work can also be equally exhilarating and exhausting, like the best of things, right? Know that I understand the sacrifice it takes for our college to be a leader in this effort. I understand your sacrifice and your commitment. At the same time, I also sense there's a grit in your resolve, because you know, just like I do, that this work is absolutely necessary. If not us, if not Prince George's Community College, then who? I always stress the importance of partnership, bringing people together around a common purpose for a greater good. Partnership is powerful. It has the ability to triumph over division. It also enables us to fight for progress together when the weight is too much alone. The college's partnership with Prince George's County Sheriff Office to raise awareness of domestic violence is one example. As you know, October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Since 2014, the college has partnered with the Sheriff's Office to host the annual Purple Light Night ceremony, which raises awareness and creates a safe space for victims of domestic violence. We need more of these types of partnerships that bring people together, meeting them right where they are in compassion and empathy. Last month, the college was selected by the Education Design Lab as one of 6 community colleges in the country to take part in a scalable model to improve outcomes for underserved students. The partnership seeks to address regional high-impact skills gaps for students and employees using equity-focused solutions. Prince George's Forward is another key partnership that will enable the residents of this county to recover from COVID-19, not just emerging on the other side, but stronger than ever. These are just a few examples out of many that illustrate the college's commitment to partnership and the impact that is possible when we are united by purpose. Partnership is an integral part of progressing from you to us to all. In the midst of the heightened tension in our society, it is refreshing to see the renewed sense of purpose that unites people from all backgrounds. There is a movement counter to hatred and division that is in pursuit of peace, justice, and equity based upon our shared humanity. This movement has resulted in people who may not have ever spoken out before being courageous and using their voice for something good. As we continue this important work of celebrating diversity, striving for equity, and embracing inclusion, let us remember the power each of us carries within. Throughout history, many people who we now consider icons were simply fathers, mothers, students, and friends standing up for what is right with an unwavering conviction. Think of the late John Lewis. His legacy champions his contributions as congressman and civil rights activists. But he was the son of humble sharecroppers. He was a college student, seemingly lost in the sea of faces when he began to organize sit-ins. All it takes is one. And when each of us commits our one to this coordinated effort, we create an unstoppable force. There is power in your voice. There is power in your activism. There is power in your listening ear. There is truly power in your patience and resolve. We've been in this fight for a long time. It is certain we still have work to do. Let this be our time to be courageous, to seek truth, to recommit ourselves to who we are, who we want to be, both personally and professionally. Let this be our time to restore meaning to diversity and inclusion by practicing what it is that we say we are and what it is that we say we do. Today, we talked about a progression from you to us to all. Ready or not, the future is already here. COVID-19 has shown us that. What was will no longer be. The status quo is no longer sufficient. We must find a way forward together. And I know that we will. In closing, I invite you to join in, help sing with Kirk Franklin and the gang. Lift every voice and sing. The anthem is a testament to community, fighting the good fight until great change comes forth. Thank you so much.
I like this part right here. Come on.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the
on.
Till victory is won.
Now we add a little something to it. Just to encourage you. We're going to take you to church later. Let's go.
We'll keep marching right until the victory is won.
To all my brothers out there.
Hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won.
To all my sisters in the struggle.
Keep believing, sisters.